That shit pisses me the fuck off. How are you gonna trade this guy that has the shit capable to, are the connections capable to kill millions of people, but then you're gonna be like, yeah, this girl that throws in a ball in a hoop is a real American hero, and then leave the
Yeehaw, bro.
fucking
What?
Marine in prison?
I know. It's so stupid. I can't fucking stand people like the president. Both Trump and Biden, they didn't do very good. None of them, like, Trump wasn't racist, but he wasn't not racist.
He said the wrong stuff sometimes.
Yeah. He had a good intention. Biden just doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
I mean, yeah, I think, because it's like the first 2 years he did some things, and now that it's almost re-election, I mean, I follow. I'm not just speaking for my ass here. I'm literally looking at his Instagram. Everything that he does is just a publicity stunt now. It's like re-election's coming up. We gotta do something wholesome. Like, I think Georgia just had their vote, their
Yeah,
midterms,
Raphael
right?
Warnock. Yeah,
Yeah,
Raphael Warnock won that.
yeah.
He's not really. Both the candidates over here were so bad. They were horrible people. Both of them beat their wife. Both of them almost killed their wife. They weren't good people.
Yeah, what the fuck is going on there?
I don't fucking know. Everybody's just like over-minded because Raphael Warnock's, Democratic, We love
Mhm.
Democrats, but we don't like Republicans. Republicans were the first anti-racist. Abraham Lincoln was a Republican, and you know what he did? He
Well,
freed slaves. He owned slaves, yeah. Almost every president at the time owned slaves. If you didn't, you were just
no,
fucking
no, no,
weird.
no, no. He freed a slave when he was young. His
Yeah.
father had owned slaves. He had never really been a huge advocate for it, but he had never really been against it
Oh,
until
so
later in his life.
yeah, but
He
then
didn't start,
yeah,
because you
okay.
have to think he didn't start his presidency going, let's free the slaves, because you have to think that that wasn't going to get a very positive thing. So he couldn't start that. He had to do it somewhere in the middle of his election.
Which worked like really well.
Yeah, because people were already, because the North was industrialized already.
Hmm.
It was factories, and it was, what's worse than black people? Irish. The Catholics,
Fuck the
the
Irish.
Catholics hated the blacks and the Irish, but what was worse than a black? It was, of course, the Irish, because they were dirty drunks and they were working in their factories, and they were the representation of the devil or laziness. So
Irish people are cool people, bro. I don't know what
it
these
was
guys are
like,
doing.
yo, we're still gonna be racist towards you, but now it's probably gonna be just a little bit less. And if you pay attention, it was the Great Migration in what year was it? I think it was about the 1930s, late 20s to 1930s. The Great Migration is when a bunch of African Americans and blacks moved from the South to get rid of oppression,
Up
to get
to
away from oppression, get better
did they
jobs
move
in
up to New York?
factories.
Didn't they
Yeah,
move
they
up to
moved up
somewhere in New
to
York?
Chicago, Detroit, New York, Oregon.
That's why most of those states are like mostly black populated because of
Well, that's when
that.
the Harlem Renaissance started, and that's why we have a lot of uh, black music, poetry from that time. The Harlem Renaissance also brought a lot of art. It was mainly these people weren't accepted anywhere, so they made their own home where they were accepted.
Yeah.
And that's why most of these places have a museum of like black culture.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's I don't know, it's a very interesting thing when you take a look at like a perspective and are like 'cause um
That's like what's wrong with people now, because they don't listen. They just like say shit and expect people to agree with them.
well, yeah, that's exactly what happens. And it's honestly,
I'm an open-minded person. I'll listen to whatever people have to say. I may not agree, but I'll listen.
now I'm gonna be 100% honest. If they start out and it doesn't interest me or gain my attention in any way, I don't think I'm gonna listen. Because you're not just gonna, you want to be able to remember the conversation. You
Yeah.
don't want to sit there and listen to whatever they're saying and then in the middle of it they say something interesting and then you've caught on. Because then you only remember the middle. You want to remember from the beginning to the end. But if they
Hmm.
start out with some dumb shit like, oh, this person is the South could have easily won the Civil War because of
The
or
South people,
some
the South commanders weren't that smart. That's the thing. They
well,
were
it
like
was
decorated war heroes too, but like they weren't
they
smart either.
I believe they didn't take into account most of the geography in America.
No, because most of the battles happened in the South, did they
Like
not?
I said, those the North had the industrial factories, so
Which
The South had the plantations. So it was
South had
one
more,
was losing.
basically like a lot of money, but the other could
Yeah,
make weapons easier.
exactly. So one, so what the North did was they jumped on this immediately, and they started setting up brigades of their ships, and then they were like, well, we're spending way too much resources and we're running out of money because now we have no one buying these resources. We're not buying any resources from anyone because we're not making any money. So they started building these, and you can look this up. They started building these wooden ships, and they looked exactly like real ships, but everything was wooden. And they would set them up in these brigades, and they would send them at forts, and they would send them out like they're actual ships, and then they would fire on these, and they would sink them, and they would waste all of their like
No.
cannonballs and stuff on these fake ass
Yeah,
ships.
the Union was smart to do that. They were like extremely fucking smart.
And then, but and it was because they were intercepting messages between Colombia, was it Colombia? I think it was Argentina actually, or Brazil. It was a South American country. They were, and that's who was buying their resources. Like that's who they were. That's who they're selling the cotton to. And then you also have to take into account that the South had probably more manpower though, because they didn't
Yeah.
have these people that were like, it, they didn't have to do this war propaganda. They didn't have to go, yeah, join the South because, we support this. Their slaves were joining like the fight to keep slavery in hopes that when this was all over, they would be freed. It was because, and that was the smart thing to do, because if it was, I'm not saying slavery is good, but I'm saying it's the smart thing to do if you look at it in this logistical and reasonable way. It's if if the South loses, the North wins and you get freed. If the South wins, you don't go back to being a slave.
Mm-hmm.
You get freed, or maybe you become something better, like a house slave. Because there were two different types of slaves. There was house slaves, and then there were field slaves.
Most slaves wanted to be house slaves because they were like
They
they normally were cleaner because
and
white people like their house cleaned at the
they got
time.
to eat better food. They were treated better. They were treated like a part of the family, kind of.
Treated more like a dog, but
Yeah,
still.
like how we treat our dogs now. But it was much better. So they were like, okay, we'll get more opportunity. So they weren't fighting because they wanted to keep slavery. They were fighting because they were thinking of themselves, which is smart. It's not really that selfish. It's more of a smart thing to do. But then the North just saw more, they had more opportunities, and the South had more flaws because they had just put, they had just put this, they had to think of a new president, they had to get a new general. And I think that the only memorable thing that was the smartest thing that the South ever did was the South had a commander with the same name as a popular general in the North. So what they would do is they would get the ambush on these Union soldiers, and they would fuck with them. They would trick them into thinking that this guy was there because they had the same name. And you didn't have technology. You couldn't just look up someone and be like, oh, this isn't you. They were like, okay, that's his actual name, so it must be him. So he would go in with his little group, and they would just fuck up the Union until I'm pretty sure he was shot in battle and killed. Which is a very smart play. But they just
This
didn't.
isn't really like my profession. I'm more of a marine person. I like marine biology. I don't do history, but
Well, it's to think that at one point, I don't know. People think that if you think at one point that it's like, of course, this is like the most popular thing you'll ever hear in your fucking life. And it's, I wouldn't own slaves if I was back then. Yeah, if they lived now, I'm pretty sure they'd say that shit too. And it's just because it wasn't like you had to. It was just like a thing that, oh, my dad did it, and his dad did it, and everyone else is
it's just
doing it.
tradition.
So you had good people like that freed their slaves, but sometimes the slaves wouldn't be freed until after the owner died. And then also there was a law, especially in the South, where you couldn't free slaves that you didn't own. And slaves were given like wedding presents. It was, you're getting married to my daughter, here, we'll give you these reliable slaves. You can do whatever you want with them. So now they're given to you and they're in your name. But once you're like, yeah, you're free, you legally can't free them because you never bought them. And that was George Washington's thing, is, yeah, George Washington had slaves. But when he died, he said, oh, I'm free. He was like, yeah, all my slaves will be free. And then it didn't turn out like that because of fucking, it just didn't turn out like that because it was his wife's father's slaves, his father-in-law. And I don't know if it was just me, but like they don't really teach you this in like elementary or even in high school.
Half of this shit I didn't even know because I don't care for that type of stuff.
It's like, it's I don't know.
It's good to be educated on this type of stuff.
When you think about the founding fathers, you think about some like good shit. And then you think of like maybe the scandal, like George Washington chopped down a cherry tree. Like, did you also know George Washington owned a tobacco plantation? Like, like, I mean, he never said, oh, I didn't own this, but he also never was like very proud of it. He never went around saying, yeah, guys, fuck you guys don't own this. Or like, America's done some fucked up things.
Almost every country's done some fucked up things.
Well, America is really
the most fucked up.
It's the bully of the world. Like,
they're like the overconfident, little 6th grader. They're new. Like one of the newer countries.
Yeah.
you know, but they're like always gonna be a dick to someone.
We're trying to fit in. We're trying to be as cool as everybody, but it may not work out. But it's like we like look at Operation Overlord. You know what that is, right?
No, I do not. I know
Uh,
Operation Mockingbird, but
it's the most popular name. It's D-Day.
oh, that's
Or the
D-Day.
beaches of Normandy.
D-Day. Okay.
It's n- they called it Operation Overlord. Well, Dwight Eisenhower was like, "Look, America's got this. Don't worry about it." And then we stepped in and we didn't care what was happening over here because we didn't know. No one, because we were an isolationist country. After World War One, Herbert Hoover and fuck, I can't remember his name. William Taft. They were high isolationists, which means they believed that they should focus on their own country's well-being instead of focusing on others. Well, when FDR came into power, he was elected 4 times, 4 consecutive terms. When he came into power, he believed that we should help people out because he saw what Herbert Hoover did during Vietnam, not Vietnam, sorry, during the Great Depression. And Herbert Hoover was like, yeah, people should help private sectors and public sectors should help themselves out before asking the government for help. No shit. You can find that in literally a public statement. And while this man sits on the Federal Reserve gold of like what now, of then it was like probably 21 billion. It's enough to take them out of the depression 3 times over. But it was all because the buying of installment of credit, which was buy now, pay later. But FDR came in and he saw this and he was like, well, other countries are suffering from this. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to create the Lend-Lease Act, which is we are only going to give our resources to countries who are vital to this nation's security. Meaning any fucking country that gives us something, we'll give them something back. Even Germany at that time. No shit. If they were like, hey, here's
Because they weren't Nazi occupied at that moment.
it doesn't even matter if they were Nazi occupied. No, this was during this was just
This
a
was
little bit
during
probably this was when it started. We didn't join until Pearl Harbor, and I think that was in 1941.
Yeah, it was
This
1941.
I believe the invasion of Poland started in what was it in September 19. Oh fuck, I can't even think of it. But yeah, no, it was fucking, I think it was 39. It was like September 5th, 39, and we joined the war in either 41. Oh, maybe it was 42. But
Fucking ask me,
we
I don't
created
know.
the Lend-Lease Act because these countries are like, yo, we need your help. And you have to think that Japan was invading all these other countries, and Germany was invading these countries, but we just couldn't cut Japan off because we had the trade embargo with oil. They were getting oil, we were getting cash. It was like you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Well, they were using their oil for war. And we found a loophole in our trade embargo, and we were like, that's not what the trade embargo says you can use it for. So just right there, we're using our powers that we had with oil to bully a smaller nation into doing something that we would like. And sure, they were killing people, but you have to think that at this point in time, our people were literally dying too. And we worry about ourselves or them first. And we can't worry about them if we have none of us left. So we just said, sorry about that. And so what Japan did is they sent over an ambassador to come talk to Congress, try to just convince them otherwise. But the moment they sent him over, they ordered the attack on Pearl Harbor. And we all know what happened on Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
But and then America went and declared war on Japan. Well, at
They
this
threw a
time,
rock, we threw a boulder.
Japan had fucked up way too many times. So Germany was like, we're cutting ties with you. Wait, we need you back. Wait, we don't need you anymore. You're coming back. So Japan was already like, hey, Germany, you gonna help us? So they were already pissed at Germany. So they didn't tell them what they were gonna do. And that made FDR, that made him think that maybe Germany had something to do with this too. And at this time, we had no idea about the Holocaust. We had no idea what was happening with these Jews. We had a certain image of it, but we didn't know how bad it was. No one ever saw it from over here. No one pictured it until we got over there and saw it firsthand. So FDR was like, well, Germany probably had something to do with this. So he stood up and he asked for if he could declare war on Japan. And Congress went, yes. And then he had a quite famous speech. He declared war on Japan and Germany. And Germany went, what the fuck are you doing? Why would you do that? And then all of a sudden, as we know it, World War II kicks off, which it was already kicked off for a little while. And Germany could have
America
easily...
joined.
I'm telling you, Germany could have easily won that war. Easily. If they would have just cut ties with Japan and stuck that way, we would have never... we probably never would have declared war on Japan, because most of America was scared of immigrants. We were scared
we still are.
When Japan bombed us, we put in executive order. It sounds like it's directly from Star Wars. Executive order 9066. Do you know what that does?
Star Wars.
It's a very
No,
famous thing. Can you take a guess?
Declare war. Yay. Yippee.
Nope. It was the imprisonment of people of Japanese origin or descent. Basically, if you looked like you're Asian, you were sent to a camp.
You didn't even have to be Japanese. You could have been Chinese, Korean.
Yeah.
You know,
It was
very...
It was very racially motivated.
Everything in the 40s was racially motivated.
And it was just because of this dumb shit. But, you know, after we were in war with Germany, you didn't see that happening to Germans. It was just because that was the only time we were attacked on our home front. And people were like, oh, if they can attack us, then maybe they'll do it again. Maybe our neighbors will. And it's literally fucking insane. And then, like I was saying, though, is Hitler could have easily won the fucking war. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
100% could have pulled through it and won. Era 1 should have stopped at fucking, what is the very famous... It's very famous. I think it starts with a D. It's a battle.
No
I think
idea.
it was... fuck. It started with a D. I think it was Dunkirk or whatever. Dunkirk, that's what it was. If he was winning the war then, he could have stopped and negotiated. And they would have had to listen to him because he owns a lot of the land. And then they would have stopped and they would have probably reassessed because they would have wanted the war to end. Britain, of course, would have agreed because they were already being surrounded.
Yeah, they also got bombed multiple times.
Yeah. And then another time Hitler fucked up was the Battle of Stalingrad.
But that's the thing. Hitler wouldn't have stopped because he was power hungry.
Well, look at it though. They took over a fuck ton of Russia. A fuck ton. Russia had to move their capital from, I believe it was Petersburg, to Moscow. It was on the edge of Russia to now almost in the center. That's how much they took over, and that's a giant landmass to own. And but his men were doing really good because yeah, it's Europe. They were like, winter's gonna come and it's gonna get, we're gonna probably have the advantage. And then it came, and they didn't understand how harsh it got because of how far north it is. And then it's open fields. There's no significant geological features that they can hide behind. They have to make it. And that fucked them up too. So the entire time, they were doing good because it was summer, or fall, summer, spring, and then when winter hit, they realized that they had not prepared, and Hitler's generals, these are different generals than which ordered the death of the Jews or the Holocaust to happen. But these generals were like, yo, we need to pull back because your men are scared to go to sleep because they're scared if they sleep, they'll freeze to death and die in their sleep. They are going through... so when they're sleepy, they now just inject themselves with this syringe, which is literally heroin.
It's heroin. It's not literally heroin, it is heroin.
And it's giving them this jolt, but when they're down, they're coming down from it, and it's hitting them fucking hard, and then the sleep exhaustion is hitting them. So let's say that these guys pass out. Well, there's no time to stop and check if they're dead. You gotta keep moving. So these guys could wake up, look up, and next thing you see is a fucking Russian bayonet going through your chest. Because the Russians were brutal.
That's like why Hitler killed himself, right? Because he was getting invaded by Russia, and he fucking blew his brains out.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. And, so...
we already covered that in one episode.
To get back from the, away from Russia, back to Japan... Japan was highly looked at as this because at one time Russia had tried to invade Japan. They were at war with Poland.
Yeah, it was the Russo-Japan War.
Peter the Great was at war with Poland, and they were losing. And they were like, how in the fuck are we losing against Poland? There's no way. And his people were like, let's revolt, let's revolt. And
that's how the Soviet Union came to be, right?
Yeah. And then Lenin was like, oh, fuck, well, now it's time to do something now or never. And started a revolution. And then the king was like, okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to start a war that's easy to win. So let's look for the smallest country. Oh, here's one. Look at this puny little islands. We're going to just invade this real quick. Instantly get this win. Walk out, victors, everyone supports us. They went to war. They started to win. Plan worked. Everyone loved them. And then they realized that they were fighting two front wars, which exactly happened in World War II. And they were splitting their forces up, and then they were like, "Oh, this place is fucking puny and tiny, so we're gonna put 25% over here and 75% in Poland." And that fucked them up because now Japan had been studying all the tactics that they have made, the men. They knew exactly what they wanted, and they had taken over a very significant part of Russia, a huge portion, and but it was like the Siberia portion, so it wasn't a big loss because nothing was over there, but it was the people were hating it, and that's when Lenin was like, "You guys wanna maybe revolt?" And everyone was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then yeah. But to get back to it, fucking the battle of, and that's what made Japan infamous. It made it scary. And going back to the Battle of Midway, it's a totally air war. It was in the Pacific, and it was fought between America and Japan. Japan had this infamous air force, something of like fairy tale. It was so good, people were scared to go up against them. And it was because if they can't take you down, then they're going to take something down when they go. It's because these guys were literally fucking trained to, hey, if you lose, kill yourself.
That's how, like, all of their POWs were trained.
And then they went, yes, Emperor. And that's what they did. And then the Battle of Midway, though, no one was prepared for America to bring what they fucking brought. They brought 4 aircraft carriers loaded with planes, and only one went down, and that was the Yorktown. And I don't even think it went down. I think it was repaired. I think it was just heavily damaged. But America had fucked up Japan, and that scared the fuck out of Hitler and Mussolini, because now they're like, oh shit. Because they didn't know what they were facing before, but now they do. They had just come to a realization that Japan had fucked with something much bigger than Russia, much bigger than anything Great Britain can throw at him. It was now in this long standoff between, it was just life and death. It was, if they lose, they're screwed. If they win, then they didn't have a plan for after that. It was all a huge mix. They didn't have a plan for they won because of what Japan did. Because they were winning at that time. They didn't have to make a plan because it was just going to happen. They had made plans for after they won, but never how to win. Because they had instituted this thing called Blitzkrieg, which translates to lightning war, which is you have maybe 500 tanks go into one battle, and they could win wars in 2 days. They could win battles in much shorter than that. They could go in the countries and take them over in no time, and it's because Germany, everyone gave Germany this time to set it up. We fucked up. Because, and technically we're actually still in World War I because we never signed the Treaty of Versailles. We signed it, we never ratified it in Congress, which means whenever Congress decides to fucking ratify, it ends World War I. But just a fun fact to put in there. But yeah, it's just weird because of how fast they could kill these people. They put in 500 tanks, have this blitzkrieg or lightning war go in, and they're done in 3 days. That's how fast they took over Poland. I think they took over Poland in maybe a week. And other countries just sat by and did nothing. Because what could they? They were like, oh, okay. Because Germany had told them lies, but no one investigated it. The Treaty of Versailles said Germany could no longer have a military. They had to pay reparations back, which left them in a depression. And Hitler's party, the fascist party, wasn't a popular party. Oh, and I figured it out. I was wrong. He didn't go to jail for the World War I. He went to jail because he tried to start his revolution for the fascist party, and it failed. And he was imprisoned. And then after that, when he wrote the book, the fascist party was like, okay, so we're going to take this guy seriously now. And then that's where he was looked at as the main advocate for it. So he was always a fascist, but he was never looked at as some main head honcho, head whatever the fuck you want to call him, until he wrote the book, Mein Kampf, or Mein Struggle.
Mein Kampf.
And, but you ever heard the story about Hitler and Mussolini?
Nope.
So, there were rumors that Mussolini was thinking about leaving the war. Because Italy was going broke.
Wasn't Italy like the first one to leave World War II?
Yeah, because I think their leader was just fucking beheaded. Was he hung and then beheaded, or just beheaded and hung by his feet? I don't know. I think he was beheaded.
I don't fucking know.
But because I know they drug him through the streets.
I think he was
because they fucked him up.
Beheaded by the Italian Revolution.
Yeah, they fucked him up good. They're like, I'll show you to be a fascist dictator.
Yeah, because the Italian military was like extremely weak, and they got overthrown like really quick too.
Well, Mussolini was scared. There was a rumor that he was thinking about leaving World War II. And Hitler had sent generals and generals and generals. And it wasn't getting through to him. So finally, Hitler said, I need to go. But he was way too fucking tired to talk to Mussolini. And so his doctor was like, take this. And it was literal, it was liquid cocaine. And the rumor is that he cornered, that almost in the middle of the meeting, he cornered Mussolini into, he fucking backed Mussolini into a corner and yelled for 4 hours straight about reasons why he should stay in the war. And then it worked.
Hitler was like a really scary guy because he yelled like really loud, you know. He was a scary dude.
Yeah, Hitler was fucking terrifying.
How tall was he? Wasn't he like really short?
I don't think so. I think he was an average sized guy. Fuck, I think he was 5'9".
That's pretty average.
Benito Mussolini was 5'7".
I'm 1 inch shorter than. I'm taller than Benito Mussolini, bro. How?
Yeah, Benito Mussolini was 5'7". So there is a significant height difference. But it's their eyes are almost leveled. He's just a little bit higher. So think about this guy looking you in the eyes as he's screaming 4 hours fucking
with a
straight.
funny little mustache. With his funny little mustache.
Actually, you know why he had that mustache?
Because he wanted to relate to the German populace.
What?
Yeah, that's how.
When he was in World War I, they were like, look, we're dropping mustard gas, and his sergeant made him shave it. they had to make him trim it because he had a longer mustache. You can look his picture up.
Yeah,
He
no.
had this
Yeah,
like
he
a
had a beautiful mustache. I
beautiful,
saw it.
and then
And he al-
it wouldn't fit. The gas mask wouldn't fit, so he had to trim it. I don't know why he kept it,
no,
but yeah.
no, is actually because of the German populace. I know that much because the German populace. He wanted to relate to him because just a normal middle age or middle class German man had that mustache normally, and he wanted to relate to that
But he wasn't. I don't see why he was trying to relate to a middle class.
because he wanted to he wanted to like relate to people. He wanted to get people to support him.
But Germany was in a depression, so everyone was mainly lower class. So if you were middle class, fuck yeah, man.
Well, not really. He had that mustache for multiple reasons, I guess. I think that's the reason he kept the mustache is because it related.
But yeah, think about it. Someone's looking at you, yell. That's fucking terrifying.
Funny little mustache. And
Because
I'm 1 inch shorter than Hitler, bro. Come on.
I don't think Mussolini fully supported the death of the Jews.
Nobody did. I
I
don't
think
even
that
think
he was
The
thinking,
Japanese did.
dog, fuck you if you think that. Sorry,
What?
but that is fucking sick what the Japanese did. It is terrifying. The Japanese,
What the fuck did they do?
you ever heard about Korea? The
The
Japanese
fuck did
went
they
to
do in
Korea.
Korea?
The Japanese went to Korea and they would take these people and they would hang these Koreans upside down. And each commander had their own different torture, but one of the most popular ones is they would tie them upside down by their feet, hang them from a tree, put a water of boiling hot water underneath them, and dunk them in it for a couple of seconds. And the first layer
That's
of skin would
almost
burn
what.
off, and they would start screaming. And the Japanese are reported of literally laughing and making jokes, and then doing it again
Jesus.
and again and again until they eventually died 10 minutes later of an average of 15 dunks. It was like a game
Jesus.
to see which one would last longer. And then, when they got tired of it, they took them, they bowed them down like they were going to give them a ceremonial death, and just cut them open, reached into their fucking stomachs, and literally made them see their own guts.
Ugh, fuck. That's worse than what the fuck. What
They
happened?
knew
Almost.
exactly where to cut them. And then in China, there's the fuck, what are they called? They're the tigers or something. It was flying tigers or something. There were 300, and they were volunteers who volunteered to go to China and fight off the Japanese invasion because they were literally brutally torturing these Chinese people because they were trying to invade this mainland.
Yeah.
Well, on FDR's fourth term, he had a stroke in office and died. And FDR had requested the fucking Manhattan Project, the one that created the first atomic bomb. He had requested that the Manhattan Project go into effect, but he was highly against the atomic bomb after seeing what it can do. Did not want to use it, but when he had a stroke and died, Harry Truman took over, and the general said this could possibly save thousands of American lives. And those generals knew exactly what the fuck they were doing because they didn't drop it in some rural areas like we dropped it in New Mexico. We didn't, or Arizona. We didn't do
We
it.
just straight up dropped in populated cities.
Yeah, no warning.
Which is a war crime, you know, but what they did is also a war crime. During World War II, there were so many war crimes going on that the Geneva Convention wasn't even a thing.
Well, how could it be a thing? That's the whole.
I don't fucking
You
know.
can't be like that. That was one of the things with the Treaty of Versailles. It's you can't implement something if no one else is following it. It makes no sense. It's like you can't make me do this if you're not gonna do it. And then they took it and they said, fuck you. And America went, you're gonna do this. You're gonna follow the treaty that we wrote to an exact T. And if one thing is off, you're gonna wish you had fucking signed it. And they were willing to follow everything, or most things, except for one of the main things was they wanted to keep their emperor. And you know America, they fucking love democracy. They weren't gonna have any of it.
America.
And when they said, we're not gonna sign this, they said, well, say hello to little boy. They dropped it on Hiroshima. And then it killed, what was it? I think it was 70,000 people. And then still, they were like, look, we know what you can do, but we're going to keep our emperor. And they were like, well, we're going to change your minds. And they dropped it on Nagasaki, killing 80,000 people. Now do the math. I'm gonna do the
Which one did they
quickest.
drop first, Fat Man or Little Boy?
Little boy. I'm gonna do the math just quickly here. 7 plus 8, what? That's 15?
Yeah.
So 150,000 people died because they wanted to keep their emperor.
America.
Which that's how you can word it. It's because they wanted to keep their emperor. But another way you can word it, it's because we couldn't bully them out of, like, I don't know, out of supporting democracy. We didn't like it, so they had to follow it. Which, I mean, it's totally okay now. But if you ask most people would be like, yeah, I drop it. Yeah, you drop it because you're not dropping it. It's easy to order something. It's harder to do it. And then, like I said that the other day, and someone went, well, I mean, even if you order it, you're still indirectly doing it. I said, yeah, if you say, shoot someone in the head, and they shoot someone in the head, who's going to feel more guilty? You or them? They pulled the trigger. They got to hear their screams. They got to hear them ask for, please don't kill me, I have a family. Did you? No. You just gotta be, oh, I had someone killed. You don't have to live with what they heard. You just have to live with what happens, which is way easier than living with what you've done. And I was like, it's all because it's a pissing match. And then after that, every country backed down except for Russia. Because, I mean, Russia was the only one who actually had the fucking balls of steel to stand up to the great, not even democratic America. Because America's not a democracy, it's a republic. A democracy, you vote on laws. A republic is what we are because we vote people into office to vote on the laws that we have to follow. So it's like, who the fuck are you gonna support? America, who kills people, or Russia, who also kills people? Which is actually no... Yeah, there's no plus in it. And then, finally, or the thing I told you yesterday, remember? So, Stalin had a rule and it was no one was allowed to go in his chambers.
Yeah, and then he fucked with the guy.
Yeah,
And
then he would
he had
he
him
fucked with some
executed.
people at the door. I'm gonna say it again for the podcast. So then he fucked with he had two soldiers waiting at the door, and he had went and he had let out this blood curdling scream like he had just been like shot or stabbed. So the two soldiers ran in there and they were like, "Oh, are you okay?" Expecting to give him like medical treatment or call for someone. And Stalin immediately had them executed. So then, when he actually had his stroke in his chambers and he collapsed, he screamed. And the soldiers outside, one was like, "Oh, should we go check on him?" And the other guy went, "Fuck no, do you want to die?" And they just stood outside while he died. So I guess you can call that irony. But yeah, it's dictators are pretty fucked. Some have great policies. I'm not gonna fucking go and be like, they're horrible people. Some have great fucking policies. And then some just are horrible. Like Saddam Hussein. Even though he invaded Kuwait and ordered the death of so many fucking people. But there was no Al-Qaeda. There was no terrorism. And it was because he would go to these terrorists, and if you even thought about being a terrorist, he'd kill your entire fucking family. He'd kill your children, he'd kill your wife, he'd kill your uncle, your aunt, your grandma, everybody. Your brother, your sister, wipe out the whole fucking bloodline. He'd make sure that your daughters were no virgins so they couldn't go to heaven. Make sure everyone was. He would fuck up your family.
Wasn't he Muslim?
Yeah. And then, so there was no terrorism because everyone was scared. But then America got scared because we were getting shit from Kuwait. And they were like, well, we're going to lose some shit if he takes over. So the CIA stepped in and they were like, look, man, we're going to help you. And here's how it's going to go. We're going to go in. We're going to fund some things here, fund some things there, maybe leave some weapons we didn't know was there. You guys use this, kill him. That's what they did. They overtook him, and next thing you know, we have Al-Qaeda, ISIS, all these other minor and major terrorist groups, because the United States was scared of losing a country like Taiwan, which Taiwan is more important than this country is. You'll probably find that your towels in your bathroom are made in Karat or Kaiwat, whatever it's called. That's where they're made. That's probably the only thing silk. That's where you usually get silk from. But that's it. You won't find much. And it is such a useless thing to kill someone so beneficial. Because that could have prevented 9/11. Yeah, you put it in perspective like that and you go quiet. That's because that's a huge fucking... Because now you're puzzled. You're like, oh shit, cause and effect. But no one's going to tell you that.
I'm not even like really paying attention. I'm listening to you, but I'm trying to do shit right now.
And it's fucking crazy. I don't know. America has fucking issues for no reason.
This went from discussing a basketball player getting traded out for the fucking Grim Reaper to
That's because
whatever
it's
that
just,
was.
just fucking Everything is fucking dumb. It's just going back to Russia being better than the United States. That's it. There was no beneficial use to anything that happens. And now I'm just more pissed off than I fucking was before.
How?
Because the United States has a fucking problem with Russia. So, we just act like it's all good. We act like it's all cool. And then we try to get whatever win we can. And Russia makes us feel like we just got that win. But we didn't. We literally fucking lost. So while everyone's fucking like celebrating and shit that she's back, they're not realizing what we just lost. What
I know.
kind of domino effect everything has. Because
There could probably be another fucking terrorist attack because of that fucking guy.
and if there is one, it's no one's fault but Biden's.
I know.
For the simple fact that he released a man that's so dangerous just for someone who throws a fucking ball in a hoop. And 100%, if he runs for re-election, I don't think he should get elected. This is the only time I will ever say this in my entire life. But Trump, I would rather him right now in office because he handled anything that dealt with Russia the best.
I think he dealt with like war and military shit better than like, you know, civil activities.
Democrats are
Like
isolationists. Like I was mentioning earlier, they try to focus on inside. Anything on the outside, though, isn't their forte. It's Republicans that focus on oil, our war. Anything on the outside is usually done by a Republican. So, yeah. And I feel that he could be that he would have handled this way better. Because instead of worrying about a fucking...
Yeah, but then he would have been called a racist because she's mixed black, you know?
I don't think so. Because he hates Russia the most. He understands how much of a threat Russia is to public security, national security. So with that, he understands what's at stake. He understands what's at risk. He knows exactly what China has, exactly what North Korea has, and exactly what Russia has. He knows exactly what we have and what we can do to take them down. He had a game plan from the beginning. And just every president has a game plan, but his was focused more on the outside than the inside. And I feel like that's what we need more in a president, is something that's focused on an outside more than an inside. It'd be great if we had both.
Like,
if you elected a libertarian in the office, you'd get fucking both, but can't always get what we want.
what is this song? Best of Lego Star Wars. I fucking hate Spotify so much. Yippee!
Yeah, but now, Russia, I feel like Trump would have focused more on the Ukraine war and pushing Russia back.
and then after they would have been pushed back, he could have focused on getting on the inside. Because the CIA has already talked to the F. What are they called? It's the F something. I can't think of it. It's the like Russian intelligence.
I'm trying to think of it. I think I know it, but I just can't. It's like on the tip of my tongue.
Well, the CIA had went.
KGB.
Yeah, the CIA had went and talked to the KGB, and they said, "This is exactly what is going to happen if you use nuclear weapons." And it was saying that they literally scared the fuck out of the KGB and Russia.
That is like really hard to do, because KGB agents are like scary motherfuckers.
They told them, they said, here's what's gonna happen. You have two major allies, and you tell them this. India doesn't like China. They're ready to invade and take over whenever possible. And it's a mandatory selective service over there. So almost everybody is fully trained and ready for war. That's 2 billion people, by the way. 2 billion. And they were like, they're ready. And North Korea, one nuke. One nuke, and they're fucking done. One call, South Korea will be evacuated to more of the south, and there will be civilian casualties, but it will be in the name of national and global security. We will top one nuke on North Korea, taking out one of your allies. Then the other ally will either be forced to step down, or be invaded, or possibly nuclear war. And then they turned on Russia and they said every country that is on our side in NATO, which is most of the world, they said every country with nuclear capability will release everything that they have on your country. You will have nothing left. Done. That was it. They were about to take out the entirety of communism if fucking Russia just dropped one nuke. That was it. And this wasn't even like a private thing, it was a public statement. We weren't scared of what we had to do. We were ready to take out as many people as needed. And just like Japan, we didn't care what civilians got in the way because it was in the name of global security.
America.
And especially North Korea. You know, Kim Jong-un has a daughter?
He does?
Yep, she's a teenager.
Not fucking know that.
See, our man, I guess he just released it because I didn't know either until the other day. I guess she was in hiding. But the other day, our man released a nuke that could reach anywhere in the United States. One nuke could reach anywhere in the United States.
Yeah, and didn't it like go over South Korea and Japan?
Yep. But he likes to show it off in these videos, like these cool little action films. And right beside him was his daughter. So I guess now he thinks that since he has this nuke, he doesn't have to be scared. Like, he isn't scared of like death anymore because now he has a successor. And if they also just passed a law that if he's like threatened in any way, if they feel like his life is at threat, they can launch nukes without his permission if they just feel like his life is at threat. And a lot of people and myself feel that that's because of what the CIA said. They were like, yeah, we'll just drop one nuke and you're done. Because they have a shit ton of bombs, so the chain explosion will take care of the rest.
They have like a lot of bombs in one small area. Yeah, it's gonna destroy that fucking place.
And a lot of them are nuclear. And so yeah, Russia is out of the, I guess they can't use they refuse to use nukes, and it's also not like us. Our president types in a code, flips a switch, turns a key, he can command any nuke to launch. In Russia, there has to be, I think it's like 6 people. 6 people have to turn their keys like simultaneously to launch the nukes. If one doesn't, they don't launch. So the chances of all of them collectively agreeing to doing that is highly inadequate. It's just a thing that probably won't happen. But if they do, they know the consequences.
I got a big red button on my desk. Press it, you fucking blow up.
And I mean, that would scare the fuck out of me too. It's every country in NATO that has nuclear capabilities focuses it on your country.
Doesn't UK have nukes?
Yep.
I did not fucking know that.
But
how many other countries have nukes? Because I know
think
poor countries like
India, China, America,
how does India
Canada.
Have nukes?
I think they bought them.
How does they bought
but Russia's nukes are from Cold War, because there's no need to buy these new nukes. You know?
Because they
like,
built a shit ton of nukes.
We're not in war, so why the fuck do we have to keep buying it and making new ones when we just have a stockpile? But they expire. That's the thing. And when a nuke expires in America, we buy the stuff to make a new one, or we just buy a new one. And we dispose of the old one. But Russia is stockpiling those, so that means historians and scientists have calculated that since the beginning of the Cold War, since they have nukes that range from the 50s to anywhere in the 1900s, that 35% of their stockpile is a dud. So
when they do land, they just will not blow up.
35% is a dud. So that's a 35% chance that you're going to get a nuke that does not blow up. Now, you don't get, let's just look at it like this. You don't give a fuck what happens to your people anymore. Alright? You don't give a fuck about your country or anything. You know that you're going to die, but you know, oh, they're going to spare our people. You drop that fucking nuke and it doesn't go off, you have 60-something countries with hundreds and hundreds of nukes ready to bombard you at any minute.
It doesn't go off, you know. You do that shit again, you're fucking gone.
There isn't even a threat. The moment... it's like that one thing, it's like when we had that scare or whatever, and I think it was like the 60s, that Russia, it was an accidental miscommunication, like a computer system, that Russia had just dropped a nuke. Yeah. If we even get that, we launch them right away. If it's our fuck up, we launch them. And we don't know if it was a fuck up until we call another country and tell them if they got it. Because it's shoot first, think last. The Marine standpoint.
The Marines. And so Marines do work though. It's just, that's how they work. The Marine and the Army, those two are the most simple-minded people.
It's like the video. It's like the hitman, and it's like the one on the left, and then they shoot, and he goes, "Is my son. Protect him at all costs." And then they run away. That's fucking Marines in a nutshell.
People in the Army call them crayon eaters. Some with the Air Force, they just call them crayon eaters. Cause a lot of them are just like fucking mental, and they kill.
Well, it's because do you know their literal fucking creed or whatever? It's like,
no, I don't know the fucking creed.
Not their creed, it's their like fucking saying or whatever. It's like first in, last out. all it's literally saying is like, hey, we know we're sent in first, and it's because we're not trained to do anything else but shoot a gun and throw a hand grenade.
They're just
You know?
trained to kill.
Yeah,
Which that's what almost every military needs, because you're gonna need strategic and you're gonna need people that just know how to kill.
that's why we have the Navy SEALs. It's not like and it's just because
The
if
Navy
you need an
SEAls are just
intricate job,
glorified Marines that are smarter.
it's because the Navy has access to anything that the Air Force has. We carry everything that the Air Force has. So, and we work closely with the Army because if the Army is stationed somewhere, then most likely the Navy is stationed nearby too. So you should just be trained like a special force. You should be trained, you already have access to ground, air, and sea vehicles. You should be trained to do so in all of them. So they choose, if you choose 4 to 8 years, then sometimes at the end of it, if you were exemplary and you weren't, I don't think officers get this position, but they'll walk up to you and they'll be like, would you like to try out to be a Navy SEAL? And then they'll be like, yeah, actually it sounds kind of cool. And then they'll do it, and sometimes they don't make it, but if they do, then they're trained to do special jobs.
Most of the time they probably will make it, because have you heard of the Marine Hell Week?
It's the
That shit is the most painful experience. Even Marines said they just did not want to fucking do it again, because they thought they were gonna die during that experience, but they didn't, you know?
It's the one where they're like in the fucking cold, in the water.
They'll go
mud.
through everything.
Yeah. I've heard of it. It's fucking crazy, man. But
If you have a girlfriend and their dad's a Marine, just break up with her, because yeah, that's just because I had a girlfriend. Her dad was a tank driver. He was a scary motherfucker. He was a cool dude, but he was scary as shit.
He'd be like, so, have you, like, she'll be getting it, you'll be, like, taking her on a date, and you have to, like, talk to her dad all awkwardly. You'd be like, so, have you seen, what's on,
That's what I did.
Have you seen the news recently? He's like, no. Have you seen M16? No? Can you take apart blindfolded and put back together? No? What about 1911? No? You're not fit for my daughter. Get out.
He's like, you see him open a pack of crayons and he just starts munching on them.
Granny Smith apple, my favorite.
Yeah, yummy.
Mac and cheese. Fucking Marines, man.
But my ex-girlfriend's dad was this is the German one.
Oh.
While she was over here, she was my girlfriend, and I had to meet her dad. I was scared shitless.
Like that. While she was over here,
I don't know.
She was my girlfriend. Don't worry about it. Totally my girlfriend.
She's not retarded because I'm retarded. Be quiet. Okay? Look.
We believe
her dad
you, right?
is fucking scary. Her dad's scary, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Army motherfuckers are almost as scary as Marines, okay?
Are they?
Yeah, they're scary.
I don't think so.
No, they're scary. Not as scary as Marines, but they're almost as scary as Marines. This dude was a tank driver. He knows everything about a tank. But he was a really nice dude.
I'd be kind of terrified if there's a tanker that doesn't know shit about a tank in our army.
Half the gunners on tanks don't even know anything about a tank. It's just the drivers and the commanders. And half the drivers they have to be educated on a tank, you know.
Well, it's like
the gunners, they're barely ever educated. They just said shoot gun.
Well, it's also there's a reason why the Marines are called the fucking dumbest. And why the Air Force is so smart. Well, for one, I've been recruited to the Air Force. I've signed the papers and everything, but I have to get a parent signature. So, well, now I can. Well, in 6 months I can sign it, get shipped away and everything. I don't know if I want to do it now, but he was explaining to me. He was like, because I had been talking to a bunch of recruiters. Like, they come in, they talk to me, and do you know what an ASVAB is?
No, I don't think
It's
I
a
do.
test that you take, and it tells you, basically, it just tells you what jobs you can and can't do in the military. Well, I had gotten 81 on mine, which I can do every single job, but a surgeon. I can be a doctor, but not a surgeon.
That's the thing. When I wanna join the U.S. Navy SEALs, but I need to become a Marine before I do that, right?
No, don't even have to be a Marine.
Damn. Well, I'm just
What
wanting
you
to
have
be
to
a
do
field medic. I
is
like
you have to
any.
show that you're significant. You have to show that you deserve to be on their team. And if you do it and they reach out to you and they're like, we want you to join, chances are you're going to be a Navy SEAL. Because they will make sure that you're a Navy SEAL if they reached out to you. But
That's one thing. Um,
you reach out to them, then you have to work your ass off. Because you have to think, there's a lot of people trying to be a Navy SEAL. You have to show significant, and that's why I got such a high grade on my ASVAB, and I could probably become a Navy SEAL.
your 5'5" ass is not gonna be a Navy SEAL. Maybe an Air
Yeah.
Force officer, but
Don't
not
want
a
to
Navy
be a
SEAL.
Navy SEAL, though. I am just saying I could, maybe, if I grow. But I could have.
Christian, you're not gonna grow. I'm sorry to tell you. You're 17, almost 18, and you're still 5'5". I'm
But
taller than you, and I'm 14.
I've talked to most of the recruiters, and I think that the only one that was the most enticing was Air Force and Marines. And that's because the Marine
For a
recruiters
field
sat
medic,
down.
don't you?
What?
For a field medic, don't you have to be like really knowledgeable in science, biology
And anatomy.
and anatomy? Which I'm good at all of that shit. I know my way around the human body. The only
Although
thing I
that's
don't
weird.
know. Look, dude. I taught myself how to, and my teachers, fuck, it's
Okay,
easy.
good. I'm
Okay.
glad you're like, yeah, I taught myself. I used to have a sister. Now
What
I
the
don't.
fuck?
Hey,
No.
you said it, not
You don't
me.
trust me with a knife. Just don't trust me with a knife around a almost dead person because I may fuck up, Look, I know how to stop
That's
a
why
bullet. I
doctors try on
know.
corpses first.
Yeah. Look, I know where the best place to stop bleeding with a bullet wound. You know what? If you get shot on the inside of the thigh, you will bleed out and die because there's an artery there. That will fuck you up.
Dude, the human body is full of insignificant places to die.
On the inside where your groin is, where the thigh is to your groin, next to your ball sack, if you get shot there, you're gonna bleed out because there's a giant artery.
Yeah, there's no, what is it called? Cauterizing? What the fuck is it called where you put a flame towards it? Called?
Cauterize.
Yeah. Fucking, yeah, you can't do that, because you're fucked.
And that's the thing. You can't even put a, whatchamacallit, I forgot what they were called already. What's that thing you stop bleeding when on like,
Tourniquet.
your arm? Tourniquet. You can't
This
put one
motherfucker's
there
gonna be like,
because
hey,
it's
will you give me
hard.
that one thing? The guy's gonna be like, I'm bleeding
one
out! And you're
thingy.
like, hold the fuck up,
Hey,
sir.
the one thingy that you stops bleeding. The tourniquet, yeah, that.
You know, the thing that you twist, it kind of looks like a scarf. Dude, I'm bleeding. Just, sir, I'm gonna need you to calm the fuck down. I'm doing my best.
I'm doing my best. I'm a little
I
bit
didn't
slow.
finish basic training.
That's the thing. The marine medics, it's just funny because they'll just like, they'll put a band-aid on and they'll be fine because they're strong motherfuckers.
You want me to kiss your boo
You
boo?
get-
No? Get the fuck back up.
Get the fuck up, bitch.
I only have one arm. Well, you have a pistol, don't you?
You have a piss. Your other arm's buff as shit, just start one-handing your assault rifle.
You saw Rambo do it. Why the fuck can't you do it?
Yeah.
We watched Rambo before you came out here. That was your basic training. You had a shit ton of time in the gym. One Rambo film. You know how war works. When you get back, your wife's gonna be cheating on you, but it's all good because you'll be homeless.
You're gonna be missing a few legs. You're gonna be missing.
The
You'll be
Navy.
missing a leg.
Okay, so the fucking Marine recruiter. These are the only two enticing guys because he went in and he said, 1 second.
The fuck are you doing? You there? I have contracted dysentery. Yippee.
Memphis, Tennessee. Okay.
What the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? Memphis, Tennessee, just nothing else.
So I
Okay.
accidentally unmuted my mic there. My dad's going to Memphis, Tennessee for a business trip.
Oh,
He flies. I don't know. His job's weird. He
that's like 2 hours
flies.
away from me.
Yeah, I know. He flies places and he oversees like skyscrapers being built. He knows like all the state
And
laws
he gets
and
paid for looking at skyscrapers.
yeah, he knows all the
For
state
fu-
laws, regulations. Tells people he's just basically a dick. He just tells them what they can and can't do.
Nah.
So he's going to Memphis, Tennessee. But sorry, like we were saying. So the recruiter comes.
Memphis, Tennessee. What is he doing at Memphis? Because last time there was nothing being built there. So that means there's a new skyscraper being built in Memphis.
Well,
Okie
it
dokie.
could be that, or he could be flying in Memphis. Is there an airport in Memphis?
Yeah,
Yeah, he could be flying in Memphis and just going to a nearby town.
probably. Or they're doing construction at the Bass Pro Shop over there.
Oh,
You
yeah,
look that
that'd
up.
work. That's the biggest one, right?
Yeah, biggest
Yeah.
pyramid. It's so fucking cool because they have other shops inside of it. It's a giant ass Bass Pro Shop.
So yeah, basically, if you ever see a skyscraper get demolished or something be, or there's one being built, most likely my dad's ever. So he's flying there for a whole week, and then he flies back, relaxes for like 2 days, and then leaves. So yeah, I basically live alone with my 2 fucking dogs. You fucking chihuahua ass bitch. Sorry. But yeah, like I was saying, so the Marine recruiter goes, he's like, you drive? And I go, yeah. He's like, what do you drive? I was like, oh, I drive a Camaro. He's like, you want a second one? I go,
Second one.
no, that's unnecessary. I was like, why would I need 2? He goes, sorry, usually you go up, you just tell people you like muscle cars, and then they go, yeah, and you tell them you want one, and then they usually are like, yeah, and that usually kind of persuades them to look into us.
Nah.
And I was like, man, I was like, you know what, just for you, I'll look into it. And he's like, thanks, man. And then, because I thought that was very funny, because like there's one step, and I have one. And so yeah, I looked into it, and they don't have many jobs. One of the main jobs that they have that everyone goes into is like infantry. Everything else you go to other branches for, and it just helps the Marines out. That's why they're the dumbest,
Wait,
is because you don't need much to be in them. You don't have to have a certain GPA requirement. You don't have to. There's just
You just
really
gotta
no.
know how to shoot a gun. You
Yeah,
just
there's
gotta know how
not
to shoot a
really any
gun.
mechanic jobs. There's specialist jobs, but the specialist jobs are all like field jobs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's weird. And then fucking the Navy, there was a Navy recruiter, and he so when you get a high tech, they
Your
want
mic
you.
keeps cutting out.
Oh, sorry. When you get a high test on your ASVAB, everyone wants you. And so this Navy guy reaches out and he goes,
Basically, what are the basic questions of it?
they're like common fucking sense. And then it will get difficult. So I would advise take it your junior year. I took mine but it only lasts for a year.
So
you're
is there any math questions? Hard math questions?
a little, yeah. Kind of.
Okay, I'm gonna fail that.
They're not as hard as you think they are. They're quite simple. It's just like, oh, here's a little algebra, here's a little. I'm not too good at calc. I fucking suck at math. But the math
I'm
isn't
shit
like.
at math.
The
I'm
math
currently
isn't
failing my math.
It's probably. The rest is common sense, English, maybe some science. And then it wants to ask you some biology and anatomy to see if you'd be good in a medical field. And then, yeah, that's really it. And so the Navy guy goes, we don't really get that many people with a high score like you. Or maybe a 50, maybe a 40. That's an average, by the way. That's like basically getting a 70 on your test, getting a 30, or getting a 40 or 50. And they're like, so having someone of your, he tried to sound really smart. He's like, having someone of your significant value would be a great accomplishment here. And what we could do is, it's like, what do you want to do? And at that time, I wanted to be a lawyer. Now I want to be a stock. You ever seen The Wolf of Wall Street?
What'd you say?
You ever seen The Wolf of Wall Street?
No.
Oh, I want to sell stocks. I'll tell you about that in a sec. And I want to
No,
be a
it's
lawyer
just
at the time.
stocks.
He says, we'll put you in law school. He's like, but here's the thing. We don't pay for your college until you've been in here 3 years. Immediately right there, I was like, fuck no. Because that's how they get you. They tell you can sign on for 2 years, but you don't get anything. And then the third year, if you sign on for 2 more years, you've been in for 4 fucking years before you get one thing. And then they're not going to pay for your college if you're out, so then you got to continue it. So they're trying to get you to sign up for 8 fucking years. And I was like, yeah, that's not my thing. And then the Air Force guy, the fucking, no shit, 100% wish I was lying. Space Force.
Space Force.
100% wish I was fucking lying. Making jokes. He's like, we don't have very many people. He's like, there's a 75% chance that the moment you join, you'll be promoted to a fucking general. And I go, guy.
I don't know
And
about
then
that, buddy.
then he keeps talking, and I'm like, I don't like this guy that much. Because, I don't know, they weren't very professional. They looked good,
What
but
the fuck is this new boss?
they didn't
There's a
act.
new boss in Fallout 76.
What is it?
It's the legendary Ultrasight Titan. It's in the new Nuclear World stuff.
Oh, dope. And then...
Oh, we gotta destroy these pillars.
This army recruiter goes, we can't offer you much, but we're gonna make sure that you're taken care of afterwards. I go, okay. I don't even have to do any research to know. Force. And the Air Force,
Why is your mic so shit?
I don't know. The Air Force really persuaded me. They go, we're the smartest. They go, you have to have a 4-point GPA to join us. We have the easiest.
What JROTC paths do your school have?
This one here, it has Army, and that's it. I think just Army.
We
The
only
last one I
have
had
Air
was Army.
Force at my high school.
I would love to take fucking Air Force JRTC. I was a major in my JRTC. I was like fucking high ranking as fuck. And so this guy, he does everything right. Like he's like, you gotta have a 4-point GPA to join us. You gotta be smart. Gotta get at least better than the Marines on your ASVAB. He's like, we actually have the easiest transition out from the military into the real world. He says, the moment you get out of here, our job is basically a cushy desk job. Basically, if you watch any video that is making fun of us, that is exactly what we are. We sit at a desk, we do nothing, but we still get paid more than everyone else. And then he goes silent for a second, and he goes, yeah, we don't even have to touch a gun. He says, we're actually switching to mainly droneless, so he said you can go anywhere from... He's like, why be a pilot when you can be bombing people with an A1 Warthog from... He's like, you play video games? I'm like, yeah. And then he started telling me, he's like, why move when you can sit behind a controller bombing people with an A1 Warthog while saving actual people in the real world? And I go,
America.
that sounds really fucking cool. And he goes, it is cool. He goes, wait until you see it. And then he's like, we actually don't directly take any lives. And he's like, we have the least most civilian casualties. He says, we almost never take a life of a civilian because our equipment is that precise. He goes, you ever thought about getting married? And I go, not really. He's like, you have a girlfriend? I go, yeah. He's like, think about you guys getting married. He's like, we don't have a very high divorce rate. Like,
Christian just keeps breaking up with his girlfriend, so I don't think that's gonna work out too well.
he's like,
for
yeah.
him.
He's like, we don't have a very high divorce rate. And I go, okay.
Okay.
He's
It's
like,
gonna get pretty high when you join.
because he knows I'm in high school, so he's not gonna like fuck around and act like talk about shit that's like kindergarten shit. He's like, oh yeah, we play with planes. He's being serious. He's like, our job's transition. You leave here and you'll find a job in no time. It's not that difficult, and you could save more people in here than you would anywhere else. And he goes, you could be, we actually get recruited a lot to the CIA and the FBI afterwards. He's like, but it's very rare, and to bring up the Navy SEAL thing, he's like, it's kind of rare to become a Navy SEAL for us. It's because we're always looked at as people who don't do anything. But we're comprised of hackers, technicians, mechanics. We don't have an infantry. You don't practice how to throw a hand grenade. You practice behind a book. And then once you're done with that book, you get into a field. And you do a little bit of basic training. It's about 6 weeks of basic training. We usually try to do it after winter, like the spring to summer. And then after that, you're done. And he's like, you won't have to worry about getting anything. I was like, and you're probably going to be the most respected. Because maybe one day, one of us will be out in the field. We'll radio in for help. And next thing you know, you see those beautiful jets flying over, dropping cluster bombs. And then you're praying to whatever God you believe in that we exist. And I'm like, dude, that is the best fucking... And dude, I signed those papers instantly. 100%. I was like, yeah, that is the best fucking thing that I've ever been... Like, I was like, yeah, that's really good. Like, that guy did really good at trying to, like, persuade someone. He was saying all the right things. He was telling jokes that were actually funny. He was saying shit that was going to persuade me. He was saying that he wasn't saying, like, oh, the VA will take care of you, like the Veteran Association. He was saying that there's jobs for when I get out that need me because we're not trained to shoot a gun. We're trained in technology. And the world is advancing in technology. So, yeah, I signed that shit instantly. And if I was 18, if I was out of high school, I'd probably be gone right now. We wouldn't have this conversation. And then I kind of learned that recruiters can lie to you. Yeah. Didn't know that. Turns out, most of the divorce rates are the same.
It's just gonna lower when you join.
No, it's gonna rise. They're gonna be like, Christian,
shit,
you're
yeah,
going
it's
on
gonna
leave?
rise.
Will you check on my wife for me? I get back in 9 months. Oh, yeah, you're gonna have a surprise waiting.
Yeah.
Fuck you if you want me to do something for you. Yeah, no. But, yeah, I don't know. The Air Force, if you get a high enough on your ASVAB... Oh, and he said that chances are... Because I speak French. He said
I know you
that...
speak French.
He said that he
Fucking
could have
French
me...
person.
I can enlist as a translator. He said I could be put on a base somewhere in France. I was like, what is the job of a translator? He's like, you really just carry a
translate,
hand...
dumbass.
He was like, you're really just a medic. He's like, you just really carry a handgun and you walk around with Army, Marines, Navy, and you just translate. And I go, "Are you a
You
translator?"
have to
And
know.
he goes, "Yeah, dipshit, I speak Spanish." He's like, "Couldn't you tell?" Because he was very Hispanic.
Nah.
Well, he called me a pendejo, but I don't know what that means. I think that means dipshit.
I don't know what that means.
He said, "Yes,
He called me a
pendejo."
badejo. Yeah, it means dipshit, Christian.
He's like, "Yeah, I could tell you speak French."
Fucking blonde fucker. You speak French. Ew.
So yeah, I didn't know to take offense to that or be like, "Yeah, where the fuck do I sign?" I wouldn't mind fucking not calling in air support when you need it.
Nah.
But yeah, he was like, if you have a friend to enlist with you, the Air Force pays you extra. So he basically signed their name right here. They come up, sign. They sign up a friend. So you can earn up to $10,000 for signing a friend on. And if they actually join, you get the $10,000 and they'll get $5,000. And I went, no fucking way.
You wanna join?
I went into my 8th period that day and I went, because my friend Kendra was in there and she was in JRTC. Of this new school. This is like this year shit. That's how I figured out that the ASVAB only lasts a year because I have to take it again. And I go, Kendra, because she wants to join the Navy. I go, Kendra, change your mind. I was like, you enlist right now and you can walk away with $5,000. Me, and that's before we enlist. Well, we both sign up. We get permission once we're there. Before we're even shipped off, we get our money. But then we can't leave. But
You know how I have the money.
yeah, I was like,
$10,000 richer, but you know, may die. You know.
I was like, we could walk out. She's like, I'll think about it. And I'm like, nah, we don't have time to fucking think about it. I was like, we gotta act now. We gotta do this shit. I was like, Kendra already signed up. It's your turn. I put your name on the paper. Don't make me have to change my mind. Because I was like, we can't get shipped off until we're out of high school. So that means we get the money now. But that means we'd have to join. There's no backing out. Which is probably the only terrifying thing, but it's all good. Because $10,000.
You know, nothing really happens when you go AWOL.
What?
Like, nothing happens when you go AWOL.
There's no fucking way. Yeah, they hunt you down.
Nothing. No, they don't. No, they don't. They just
What is it?
they just say you can't get a job. That's all it is. Nothing happens. You just can't get a job. You'll be homeless if you go AWOL.
I thought it was like the fucking death penalty.
No. They just do not give a shit. You can go AWOL, and then you just can't get a job. That's it.
I didn't know that. That's fucking crazy. That's fucking... Dude, there's no...
Fix your mic.
They hunted you down. Because I
Fix
was
your
always...
fucking mic.
I always thought it was fucking death penalty. What the
No.
fuck? Are you serious?
It's not even. You don't even get arrested.
That's fucking bonkers, man. Fucking bonkers. I swear to God. Oh, wait. I'm reading. Oh. Oh, okay. So if you go AWOL during wartime, like let's say that you're in Iran or some shit, and your squad's being fired upon, well, if you choose to lay down your gun and run without your commander saying so, you can choose to go. That's AWOL. You run away, and if they catch you, it's the death penalty. But not many people have gotten the death penalty because they have accidentally been shot while running away and ended up with a Purple Heart. But you don't get a Purple Heart unless you've been like honorably discharged. So it's you're trying to go AWOL and you've been shot, so it's we're not gonna
Yeah,
mark you for
I was
AWOL. We're not gonna send you to prison,
Not.
but you're not
I
getting your
was
Purple Heart.
not. I was not trying to go AWOL, you know? Just give me that fucking Purple
Listen,
Heart.
man.
Listen, man, I
I
was not trying to go
swear to
AWOL.
God. I swear to Allah, I mean God, that I was not
Allah.
trying to shoot my own men to persuade the Iraqians to not kill me. Swear to God, promise. I didn't know you guys were coming. I thought that I was saving my squad by running over there and converting fighting back with my knife, but dude, swear. Give me that Purple Heart. I want my pension.
I want it, please, bro.
You don't.
Come on.
It says you don't get any retirement benefits. You don't get any more payment from the military. You get marked with a dishonorable
But that's
discharge.
the thing. Yeah, you get. That's the thing. But when you're like at your post and you just
That's only
decide
if
to
you've been
leave,
shot,
nothing
though.
happens. But like if you're at a post in a different country that's not in war, you can go AWOL and it just won't care. That's what I'm talking about, AWOL.
You know, the United States was like, "Hey, no one can switch sides," and then it was like, "You know what? We can switch sides, but only switch sides to people we're allied on." And then, so like, let's say we went to Germany, okay? And you can earn medals for their army, and let's say you retire from the United States. Well, you go back and you start working in the German army, which is totally okay, and there's still American soldiers doing it. And you go there and you start working, and then it just becomes an enemy of the United States. Well, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to run. You're supposed to come back to the United States, or, if you can, fight back. And if you can't do that, resign. Now notice how I said those in order. Come back to the United States, fight back, and if not, resign. That is the order that they have it. Because it's now treason if you fight it, and if you ever step back in fucking America, it is the death penalty, like almost instantly. Yeah. Bet you didn't know that, did you? So, like, let's just say your girlfriend's dad, what is he, German? Or is he American?
No, he was an American man.
So, if Germany just goes to war with America right now, which they have a great track record of doing, they go to America with fucking the war.
Isn't Germany part of NATO, though?
Yeah. He is supposed to drop everything and come back instantly. He probably doesn't even have anything here anymore, but he has to, or it's treason.
No, he has a son here.
Has to instantly come here, or it's treason. And I don't think it doesn't say in here that it prosecutes family members, but the CIA also says they don't prosecute family members. But
I do not trust the CIA whatsoever.
Where
bro.
the fuck is he? I swear to God, I have no clue. You gonna be waterboarded again? I told you, I swear to God, please, please, please.
Is he
do it.
waterboarded with gasoline? That's
You ever
more
been-
their style.
You ever been waterboarded with your nips clipped to the car battery? No? It was the first time for everything.
Nah.
Light him up, boys! Mason, we have a job.
Put his toes in the water and put some the car battery in there with it. See what happens. That's
Yeah,
the
true.
CIA torture methods are just so fucking weird.
Yeah, they have some fucking...
But you know they torture people. You know they torture people. Even if they deny it, you know they do. Fix your shitty mic.
My bad, Quip. 1 second, I have to switch shirts. They have found Constitution but it's illegal. You know what I'm saying?
No, I didn't even catch a single word you just said. Your mic just keeps fucking like
The United
unplugging or some
States, the United States has a in the Constitution, the CIA, it's everything that the CIA does is illegal, but they found a loophole in the Constitution making them legal criminals. So
I love America.
basically, if I were to tell you go kill someone and you killed them, we'd both be arrested. But if I said that person's a threat to our national security, I heard him say he has a bomb vest underneath that jacket, and you kill him, neither of us get prosecuted. You can do whatever the fuck you want in the name of national security. That's how espionage is legal in America. Because as long as you're protecting
Isn't
the
that what
state...
happened with Stephen Pat? Like, you know what happened with Stephen Patting?
No.
You don't know? You don't know who Stephen Patting is? Out of all the people, I expect you would know.
He's the... Is he the CIA agent?
He was. People theorize he was a CIA agent.
He's the retired one, right? His wife was
no.
also a...
No. Stephen Patting. Las Vegas shooting.
Oh.
He was the guy that did it.
Oh.
Guess what? The CIA. This was the CIA's case. Guess what they did?
Dude, that's the first thing.
Said,
the CIA doesn't touch shit in country. It touches shit out of country. The FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, that is their job.
No, the CIA was a big part of it. That's the thing. The CIA was a big part of it.
Yeah, dude, that's a cover-up right there. The CIA doesn't. It didn't touch Sandy Hook.
It was a cover-up. No, that's the thing. I'm like mental. Okay, look.
You're gonna be 100% honest.
Theorize.
It didn't even really touch the fucking Unabomber.
I know. Look,
so why the fuck does it have connections with the shooter when it should have had connections with a fucking bomber? Fucking weird.
Look, the shooter, Stephen Patting. They said. Have you seen that video with Sonic? He was explaining like, he's expended over 6,000 rounds into the Las Vegas streets from bump stock rifles, which means he would have had to drop a rifle every time he emptied a mag. But with the camera footage, the footage of it, it looked like there was multiple guns firing from what looked like machine guns from different ways of the building. But when they went to go shoot, when the CIA went to go to where the shooter was, they only found 5 bullet casings. And then guess what happened to his brother's house? The FBI was going to go investigate his brother's house. I may be getting this wrong, but the FBI went to go invade his brother. And the CIA, people theorize the CIA burnt his house down. Like, getting rid of all the evidence in his house. That's what people theorize. Because his house just mysteriously burnt down as soon as somebody was going to go check on it.
Okay. Now let's be smart about this for a second, though. I don't think you're stupid. Okay, but I think that you should easily know that if the United States, or if the CIA had something to do with this, they wouldn't use this motherfucker's house.
They use his brother's house.
They would use...
That's what I just said.
An unmarked location. Because that way, it couldn't be traced back to them. Why use this guy's house when you're going to look at it? Now, maybe, just maybe, I think, I'm right along with you. I know that they had something to do with it, because it's weird.
No, CIA has done sloppy work before. This wouldn't be the first time they've done a sloppy work.
They've done a lot. But I'm thinking that they've done something with this, but maybe he just had accomplices. Maybe they went and burned down the house because they had fingerprints or shit inside of it. Because, you know, once the CIA has you do something, they're done with you. They don't care what the fuck you do afterwards. They can deny and deny and deny. And it's like a child with a principal. You can tell your parents the truth, but they're gonna believe the principal. The government is gonna believe whatever the fucking CIA says, because it's the CIA.
Yeah.
So maybe he had an accomplice, went burned down the house because he's like, fuck, I don't want to go down too. Maybe the CIA
Maybe.
took care of the accomplice. Maybe the accomplice was working with the CIA, just had him done. Like, final mission, done. Because if you have someone that knows your secrets, you don't want them out there. I think that's why they have, like, if you see on TikTok or YouTube Shorts, they have these, you'll see that these fucking ex-CIA agents that have been on missions, they go and they talk on these podcasts, they're retired. The only reason they're talking is because they don't know enough.
Yeah.
And one is even said, so one is smart. He knows everything. He's older. His daughter's like, tell us more secrets. And he says, that's classified. That's classified. He's like, he only says
Tell
stuff
you
that's
how we
happened to
fucking
him.
murdered.
He says, I've had a gun pointed at me. He says, I've had to, while I was married to your mother, he said, I've had to make out with someone, have sex with them, convince them that I'm on their side. He's like, this entire time I've been doing all this stuff. And he goes, who were they? What government were they for? And he goes, that's classified. That's smart. The other guy, he gets asked questions. Where'd you go? He's like, Moscow. I went to these places. He's like, you're not looking for. He's like, you see a Schindler's List because I saw one the other day. He's like, it's all black and white except for the one little girl's red coat. He's like, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that red coat. And he's been on some missions, but he's not been on enough. He retired too soon. The other guy's probably in his 60s, maybe late 50s. So he's been on the Cold War missions. He's went up against
CIA
Russia.
people, you just can't really trust them, but they're extremely smart. That's the thing.
And he knows that if he spreads too much information, he's done. But the other guy, he's like, oh, yeah, saying this shit, and he just doesn't know enough to spread enough. I've never heard the younger guys say anything close to
Look, man,
that's classified. The CIA... What?
I'm not a kook. I believe the Earth is round. Earth is round, okay?
Okay, that's a hell of a way to start a sentence. I believe the Earth is round, but there's dragons living in it.
There's dragons living in the fucking Earth, man.
Man, where do you think they went?
Where do you think the fucking dragons were?
There's no way that Skyrim just made them up.
Look, I'm not a kook. I just believe that the CIA has done some shit.
You know, every year they release, it's every year, every 5 years, they release a statement. And these statements are like 20 years old, 25 years old. So that means 25 years, everything that the CIA does now, we'll know about when it's old. So we're still hearing about shit from the Cold War, like bad shit they've done. Even in Vietnam, like they've released that they're the ones that dropped napalm first. Any classified document under, I don't know the right law right now, but under a certain law, it's like a privacy act, they have to release what they've done. But they have a certain time, and that time is, I think it's like 30 years. Well, they were like, oh, well, the American people need to know, but they don't need to know this soon. So we're going to cut 5 years back, let them know 25 years from now. Because then we won't get that outlash.
When was JFK assassinated? Like how many years ago?
It was 19... Oh, shit, I know this. It was 1963, November 22nd.
Okay.
11/22/63.
My friend's dad, like, he was laying down, pretending to be dead, on, like, in the exact location JFK got shot. My friend's dad was doing that. It shit was fucking funny.
The other
They were out
day,
in Dallas.
my friend had sent me a video, and he had went Christian. I think I found proof that there was not a second shooter where they say it's gonna be. And I went, what? And he went, yeah. And you can see where he gets shot from the ground level. Well, that's the most popular one. Right next to that there's an angle shot, and you can see the front of his face and where he gets shot from the back of his skull, and like it like goes out the bottom of his neck, hits his knee. Well, no. His brain's like scattered back, and he's like,
Your
Christian.
mic is dog shit.
So his brain's scattered backwards. And Christian, do you think this is evidence that there wasn't a second shooter? And I go, I don't even fucking know. Like, I was like, I never believed that there was a second shooter. I've been into the theory that there was, but I don't like deciding on things. I don't like being like, yeah, there was a second shooter, and not know confidently. I don't believe it was one single shooter. I don't believe that there was more shooters. I believe it's possible that one man could have done it alone. But it is also possible that there could have been multiple shooters because the angles and where he was hit at. But until we know, there's no definite answer. And then he sends me it, and I watch it. And yeah, it was kind of close. I was like, there's no way that there could have been a second shooter. And I'm very confident about that. Or there's no way that there could have been a second shooter from where they say there was. It's fucking weird, man. And then, so yeah, they released the statement. So like, they've released statements of them, like the CIA, Saddam Hussein. Oh no, Stalin. Stalin in New York had an apartment building. He had 3 rooms rented out, and he had like extended them, and they were torture rooms. And oh no, fuck, it was Saddam Hussein, not Stalin. I'm fucking dumb. Saddam Hussein in New York had apartments, and he had them rented out. And any Iraqis that ran away to America, he would have them like brutally fucking tortured. The CIA knew this was going on and didn't do shit because they were like, "Whoa, that's fucked up, man." But
We've done worse.
but they were doing the same shit. Like, the Iraqis that he was torturing ran away from his country. The Iraqis that they were torturing were like fighting them back. So it was like, you do your thing, I'll do mine. And then finally, he died. And then the agents there were like, "Oh, what the fuck do we do now?" And then the CIA was like, "Hey, that's bad. You're under arrest." You know what? And they went and told the FBI that they told that the FBI was that this was happening, and the FBI was like, "What the fuck?" and rushed in immediately. This was years. The CIA knew it, but the moment that they told the FBI rushed in immediately. That just shows how fucking great the FBI is to the CIA. Like, what the fuck is our country doing? And yeah, they could do anything they want. They could take you from your home right now. Just for the simple fact that you said a racist slur once when you were like 5.
When I was
Because
like 5.
it could be known as future terrorism. And that you could be a Soviet spy brainwashed. Or your parents could be Soviet spies trying to brainwash you into Leninism or Marxism. Yeah. And that you're trying to change America for the worst. And then you'd be back into a fucking facility and tortured your fucking brains out until they're done with you. And when they're done with you, there's not even 100% that you'll ever see. You go to fucking Guam. Or what is that prison called? It's,
Alcatraz?
Nope. It's worse. It's in fucking Cuba, I think. It's a prison where we send everybody for some reason. Like, foreign. God damn it. It's in Guam, I think. I don't know, it's pretty fucking bad. Yeah, dude. The CIA No, just the CIA. We're not fucked up. The CIA is fucked up. Like, they'll be like, hey, you want to join us? You'll be like, sure. And they'll be like, you ever killed a man before? You ever watched someone bleed out on your doorstep? You ever looked in an infant's eyes as you killed their parents, knowing that you don't have the balls to kill a baby? Well, the CIA would be a great job for you. Enlist. Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. Alright, one time, the United States hired Blackwater, it's a private mercenary group, to protect, like, fucking, ambassadors and shit while they're in Iran during the Iraq War. And whenever the
I
CIA
think
would
I saw something about that.
whenever the CIA would fuck up or do something wrong, and not one of these Blackwater men, or not many, I think one or two died, but not many of these men died, but none of their targets died. The people that they were supposed to protect, none of them died, not one. They got where they needed to go.
Yeah,
And
I saw
then
that somewhere.
it was like, someone would fuck up the CIA, and then it was just
They
fucking,
blame it on them.
yeah,
That's why there was so much controversy around them.
Mm-hmm. But they were getting paid twice. They're getting paid by the U.S. government and the CIA. It was, you take the fall for us, because they could perform as many hate crimes as they want, as long as no one's looking at them. They could topple a patriarchy as long as no one noticed. Same with Saddam Hussein. We indirectly killed that man. No reason. Just because he was invading a country that gave us fucking silk. That was it. One thing that we could get from other countries. We had that man fucking executed. And then overnight, fucking, you ever heard the thing that the Nazis aren't as bad as you think they were?
Yeah, I think I heard that.
This is fucking sincere. People think this. Which I actually think this. Okay, I think this. So
Calm down, Kanye.
Nazis. Nazis. Sorry, I just saw a fucking Biden post. My bad. Nazis aren't
Biden.
bad. Nazis are totalitarian. And how do you have
sound like a Kanye?
Shut the fuck up. And Nazis, like, right now.
Everyone has something of value, especially Hitler. That shit was so funny.
Well, I don't agree with that, but I do a
That shit
little
was
bit.
so funny
And
when Kanye said it. I laughed my ass off for like an
It's-
hour straight.
We only have what kind of government we have now because we believe it. Just as the Nazis. You can't have a government that big and that strong without the people believing it. The people were Nazis. The soldiers were Nazis. Hitler was a Nazi. Everyone that he took over was a Nazi. Because you can't have something that big without people believing it. And if they don't believe it, they're gonna lie. They're gonna lie to their husbands, they're gonna lie to their wives, they're gonna lie to themselves. And tell themselves that they believe it. Just like we do here. Most, like I said earlier, everyone believes we're a democratic republic. Everyone says that we're democratic. We're not democratic, we're a republic. But ask people, are we a democracy or a republic? And they'll tell you, we're a democracy. And that's because we lie. We tell ourselves that. We lie to ourselves. We lie to everyone else around us. And we try to make ourselves believe that we are a democracy. When in reality, we're not. We won't even ever come close to one. It's because we think that we have the freedom to elect people in office and get these laws implemented that we vote on. We don't vote on the laws.
Hold on. Alright,
hold on.
speak.
Hold on, one sec.
I'm getting
And to be honest, can you hear me?
What was? Yeah. I just got one question to ask.
What's up?
You there? Why do you keep fucking going away?
Hello? Oh, I just went silent. You said one question.
One question. Okay. Here's another one. Why the fuck is your mic so dog shit?
It's meant for a PS4. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with it. I bought it and it
My
keeps
mic is
slipping out of
meant
my
for a
controller.
PS4 too.
I don't fucking know. But
Get a new one. Get a new mic
you
soon.
can't do shit in a government without people lying to themselves or actually fully believing it. And if you fully believe something that your government is telling you, you're a fucking idiot. Because if you can believe someone that tells you that they don't do it for the power, you're a fucking idiot. Whether you're doing it, whether they're doing it for the power or not, you're still a fucking idiot. Because you are probably the reason that they got elected. Either because you voted for the other person, you voted for them, or you sat your lazy ass down on the couch and said, my vote doesn't matter, and did not vote.
Yo, Christian, who are you voting for 2024? Brent Peterson?
The Libertarian Party. Joe
Who?
Jurgensen.
Libertarian. Who?
Joe Jorgensen.
That guy's name sounds fucking
Hey,
stupid
Peter.
as shit.
That's
Joe.
That's what my friend
What the
said. They went,
fuck
hey,
is
Peter.
that?
But yeah, that's what I'm
Hey,
voting for.
Peter.
Because the Libertarian Party is Republican and Democratic. It does everything that they should do. It focuses on the infrastructure of your country, like what your taxes should actually go fucking towards. And then it goes towards the Republican side, meaning I still believe that every infant, man, baby, and grandma should own a
Man,
gun.
baby.
But I don't believe that assault rifles should be on the streets. I believe everyone should have a gun, just not an assault rifle. And every time I hear devil's advocate, I come.
I come.
Now I gotta go meet my girlfriend for this week I'll call you. Thank you for watching the podcast. Nick, finish us out.
I'll see you retards later.
2 hours and
Don't believe-
13 fucking minutes.